All right, here we go. Big day today for the engine. Hopefully, if I go to the store later, I can get some antifreeze and coolant and whatever, and put it in and hopefully start it up. But first, I got to do the wiring. So there goes my nice looking engine with all this ugly wiring. Before I took it down to strip the engine down just to the block to clean it and everything, I drew a nice little diagram for all my wires from the spark plugs to the distributor in the back there, so there's no guessing on which wire goes to where, and I'll be able to do that nice and easy. But yep, say goodbye to my nice clean looking engine before all this ugly wiring goes on. Same with the alternator, the starter, and I gotta put one of those batteries back over here, fire it up. Cleaning everything down real quick, wipe it down. All right, I got the distributor wires hooked up to the spark plugs. Didn't turn out too bad. Able to tuck them in the back there as I ran it to the distributor. Just worried about it touching the exhaust a little bit right there. I'll keep my eye on it, but these are the high temperature wires, so same with this one. This is probably the ugliest wire just because you can see it the most. But yep, now I gotta hook up the starter and the battery and the radiator, obviously, with all the hoses. All right, I have my stock wiring harness out to wire up the engine. Using the stock one right now. I do have a new one, wiring harness, a whole kit for the entire truck. Not putting that in right now because I want to make sure that everything is lined up for the engine side of everything, and then I'll move to the electric side. So I'm just going to use the old stuff because I know where everything plugs in, and I can kind of troubleshoot from there when I know all the wiring is good to go. Instead of having engine problems and wiring problems, I'll just stick with the engine problems for now. And then once I hash everything out with that and it gets running good, then I'll put in the new wiring harness. So I'm going to hook this up. All right, got all the wiring hooked up. Going from the distributor down to here, this connection right here, and then that runs to the starter as well. And then coming off of the starter, positive, which is right here, we're gonna connect it right there once I finish hooking up the radiator. Also got it hooked up to the alternator right there and to the main wiring harness, and this is where I'm going to be able to turn on the engine. Well, I'm starting to hook up the radiator and all the hoses, and now it's starting to get ugly. Too much stuff everywhere. Hopefully, once I get all the fenders and the grill and stuff back on, I'll make it look a little nicer and tuck everything back in. These bother me so much, how they come over the top from here down into the heater. But yep, looking pretty good. All I have to do is hook up the radiator and I'll be able to start this thing up. All right, here we go. I got everything hooked up, double checked everything, looking good. I even ran test on the battery and to the alternator and the starter. All came back good. So this is how you do this if nobody's ever done this. 20, set it to 20 DCV, Take your ground, positive. I like to do my ground first, just feel safer that way. And then hook it up. All you have to do is touch it to that. Boom. And then that'll read 12. I can't hold the phone in two of these things at once. But then that should read around 12.5, somewhere around there. I'm gonna run it, test it while it's running to make sure the alternator's working. And so everything's double checked. I got my gas tank down there hooked up to the fuel pump. And I like the clear filter so I can tell if fuel's actually gonna get up. All my hookups. I got my oil pressure gauge right here. The gauge snapped off. Well, actually it was the line that broke. So I just taped this. Oil spewing everywhere. But everything's hooked up. I'm gonna give it a run and see what happens. All right, here we go. First startup. See what happens. Ooh, got a little spark down there. Okay, let's stop. All right, we had a little spark coming down from the starter. Let's see if it happens again. Hopefully not. I got to keep doing it so the fuel pump pumps up the gasoline. I already took the gasoline out, put something in there in the carburetor, but I emptied all the fuel from the lines doing that. So it's gonna take a couple starts. Keep my eye on the starter. All right, so I almost started pretty much. So I got fuel coming up. As you can see, it's in here, but I do have a spark coming from the starter I gotta figure out, so. All right, so starter keeps sparking. Just hooking up the positive to the battery terminal. So I'm gonna completely replace this with the new one that came in the wiring harness. So got it over here. American Auto Wire wiring system. This is for the 1964 C10. So I'm gonna use the one that's in there. All right, so it turns out that this kit comes with everything except for the wire that I need from the battery to the starter solenoid. Battery cable, not included with this kit. So I'm gonna have to try and fix this, see exactly what's going on. All right, I think this will do it. I ran tests and everything again. Everything's getting power. The alternator, the starter, obviously the battery. So I think the issue was, I don't know if you can see it now, but I got it electric tape and then duct taped out of the way. But there was a little screw hanging off of the starter that was touching the exhaust. So I'm thinking that was the issue, because just now when I hooked up the wire to the starter, it didn't spark after I fixed that. And before, it was sparking when I hooked up the battery. As soon as I hooked up the battery, this wire to the battery, it sparked over there. It didn't do it this time. And I also stopped it from touching the coils. Well, the spark plug wires. So I'm thinking, hopefully those two things were the issue. All right, kind of got it on the starter for you guys to see if it does it this time, so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, well, it didn't spark, so I think I fixed the issue. a fuel leak right now. All right, so I fixed the problem with the starter sparking. It turns out exactly was what I thought it was, with the small little screw that sticks out and hits the exhaust. But had a little fuel leak. I thought I fixed it previously, but I guess this doesn't get as tight, so I just put a zip tie there. I think that's gonna fix the problem. I did it on both ends. I was trying to avoid zip ties just because I don't think they look that nice, but sometimes they actually work better. So let's give it another try. Pretty sure it's just the paint that's smoking. Hopefully. I mean, that shit's smoky. Might get an oil leak. Let's see where that's coming from. I think it's just coming from the oil filter. That's not bad. Actually, I think it's coming from the back. Woo! I mean, it's brand new exhaust with brand new paint on it. So. All right, got it running. A little smoky still. Thinking that oil leak is from back here. You can see it puddling up a little bit right there. Hoping it's from the oil reader right there, where oil pressure, where you hook it up.